Welcome to another episode of Ecom Experiences, a podcast for e-commerce marketing leaders who want to grow and scale their brands faster. Join us as we interview some of the smartest brand founders and marketing leaders in the industry. Explore the lessons they learned, discover the keys to their success, and discuss what excites them most about the future.
Hi, it's Samir Balwani here, host of Ecom Experiences, where we talk to brand founders and marketing leaders about their experiences growing brands. This episode is brought to you by Query. Query is a paid media agency that helps brands balance brand awareness and performance marketing to drive predictable and profitable growth. To learn more about how we can help you, visit weareqry.com. I'm really excited about today's guest. Today we have Shelley Griffin, the Director of E-commerce and Marketing at Caffe Vita. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I can't wait to dig into things because you have such a cool experience around having an e-com store, retail locations, and everything in between, especially for being such a high volume business. So let's tell me more about the brand. Tell me more about you and your role that you have.
Sure. Yeah. So Caffe Vita, it's a coffee roasting company. It's been around since 1995, so almost 30 years. Based in Seattle, and we have cafes and roasteries in Seattle, New York, and Phoenix. So we're nationwide, but based in Seattle, yes. And yeah, I've been with the company for about a year and a half. Was brought on really to grow the e-commerce department, which we'd had an online store for a few years, but it was not really a big focus. And now it's we're really focusing on bringing it in as a strong revenue stream. So yeah.
Can you talk more about that kind of transition from, as you're looking ahead, as you're thinking about e-commerce for a brand like this, what's the customer experience look like? Like, who is the customer? Is it people that already know about Caffe Vita, or are you trying to look at e-com and saying this is blue ocean because we can go after people that aren't near a retail location?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big part of it for sure. Like you said, Caffe Vita has a lot of different aspects to it. We do have our retail locations. We have a very robust wholesale program as well. But being able to focus on people that aren't near our roasteries and cafes is super important. And being able to provide them with our amazing coffee is really what we're trying to do with the ecom program. Like I said, we'd had the store around for a while, but just about a year ago, we revamped the subscription program. We gave it a name, the Vita Coffee Club, really branded it, and are building that out so it's easier for people around the country or internationally to get our coffee.
Oh, that's so cool. I'd love to dig in a little bit more on the subscription side of things. So what made you guys decide to do subscription? How did that idea come to be? And then how has it been going so far?
Yeah, so when I started, the program had already begun. I think the idea kind of came because all of our competitors, everyone in the coffee industry was starting to offer it. And so well, that's a great idea. Let's give it a try. And then I came in and looked at what we were doing, and we all decided let's make this more of a club vibe, almost like a fan club, or like we call it the Vita Coffee Club, like I said, and help people to feel like they're part of the Vita family, as well as getting access to our great coffee.
Yeah, I love that because it goes beyond just like a transaction, and it feels more, we said branded, and there's like an element to that, especially for an industry like coffee where people like to try new coffees, and it is like there, especially on the higher end of coffees, there's this joy. It's like wine, right? Like you might have your favorite wine, but you still like to explore different wines. And so how do you fulfill on that for your customers while also giving them the opportunity to go explore other things and kind of expand out?
Yeah, exactly. There's so many great coffee companies, and we partner with them as well on things, because we like to try different coffees also. There's so many to try. But yeah, being able to have people still be loyal customers to us and still come back to us as their their go-to, and getting their weekly or their monthly subscription order to their home and just having us kind of be with them every morning is kind of the goal.
That's awesome. So, how has subscription going? What has it meant for the business, and would you say it's been a success?
Yeah, definitely. It has definitely increased our online order revenue, and it's really helping with retention as well. Um, People get on there and it's just so easy to use, and then we are very customer service oriented as well,
Yeah,
so people can write in and get a response right away if they need help changing anything, changing an address or pausing. So it's been great. We've seen a large increase in subscription orders.
yeah.
That's really grown faster than our one-time orders.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Did anything surprise you in the process of coming out with subscription? It's different than one-time purchase order, even how you market it, the barrier to entry, all of that. But, as you were
Mhm.
going through that whole process of growing this whole new revenue stream for the business, um, what surprised you? What advice would you give someone that's like leaning into subscription?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is educating your customer,
Mhm.
especially if they're a longtime customer, for example. They're used to just going on, clicking their one
Yeah,
bag, or whatever they're used to getting.
yeah,
They're used to doing it in a certain way. And so letting them know that this is available to them and letting them know how to use it and how easy it is, and kind of putting their fears aside. You hear subscription, you think you're locked in. It's definitely not the case. You can pause it, cancel, change your address, change your order, anything at any time. So just letting them know that this is super easy and we're going to be there to help you if you have any questions. And just letting them know that it's available to them is important, because people get on autopilot and they just go to the product
yeah.
page they know, they add it to the cart and they check out.
Habits are hard to break, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So just educating the customer and getting them excited about it.
That's super interesting. Uh, as we talk about challenges, I'm so curious. So, what other challenges are you looking at? So, it sounds like subscription has been awesome. You've been able to
Mhm.
overcome a lot of those. But as you look at ecom over the next year, what are the things that you say, hey, this is going to be an obstacle that we need to overcome, or here's an opportunity that we're really trying to figure out?
Yeah, I think I would say balancing um, what I'm focusing on pretty much.
Yeah.
Am I focusing on retaining subscription customers? Am I
Hmm.
focusing on retaining one-time order customers? Am I focusing on bringing in new subscription customers or bringing in one-time customers? How to transition one-time customers to becoming subscription members? So just kind of balancing how much of my time, how much of our resources, how much budget goes to each is um, is really interesting, because, like I said, the subscription program really took off, which is amazing. But how do we keep those people? The retention is really important,
Yeah.
and then how do we continue to grow one-time orders as well? Want to promote both.
It's like almost creating a hierarchy of priorities, right? And like this is
Yes.
what's going to move the business forward versus this is where we kind of just need
Mhm.
and doing that whole I guess strategy around it, it's a pretty heavy lift.
Definitely. And then, throughout the year, we're going to do little tweaks here and there and assess, okay, how is this going? Is this helping us? Are we stagnating? Are we spending our budget appropriately? So it's just kind of testing and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, and have you thought about how often you'll be doing that like check-in? Is that something that you envision doing, monthly, quarterly, mid-year? I guess just how often do you feel like you're going to want to shift your strategy?
So I don't want to do it too often, because
Yeah.
I want to give it time for
Hmm.
people to give it a chance, basically. So quarterly is kind of the
Yeah.
vibe. It depends. Sometimes you can see what's working or what's not working
Real fast.
quicker, 4 weeks or 6 weeks, you're like,
Yeah,
oh, is
I
it
feel like you can
definitely
tell what's not working real fast.
exactly, exactly. So that changes a little bit, but generally, I would say quarterly.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. That's awesome. And then in terms of like, so it sounds like the big question marks are acquisition versus retention.
Yes.
And then of course the matrixed out because you have subscription and one-time purchase.
Mhm.
Um, Putting you on the spot, but where do you think the priority ends? Like where does your gut tell you of what that priority is going to be for you guys?
My gut tells me subscriptions is the focus.
Mhm.
I think that we have a potential to grow our subscription program exponentially. Um, in terms of retention versus new customers within the subscription realm, that's a tough one. I have both.
I love it. I love it. And it's so funny. Every time we talk to someone with subscriptions, it's a really hard decision because you can look at it and say, all right, I have this customer, brought them in, their lifetime values $200 because they're going to
Mhm.
stay for X number of months. I can go and acquire another $200, or I can try and expand this to $220. And
Mhm.
where one is mentally easier, I think like mentally acquisition is a little bit easier because you get think, all right, cool, right? I know how to activate against this.
Mhm.
But business wise, extending that to $220 could be bigger. And
Yeah.
so now you need to think about where am I putting, what bet am I taking? How am I resourcing this out? Because I think retention does tend to be more of a bet than than acquisition does because you can see diminishing returns on acquisition and make a very streamlined decision there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think at the end of the day, retention is the name of the game, but it is more difficult. So you can't forget about bringing in new customers as well.
Yeah, it's that balance. As you look at retention, though, what are the things that you are most excited about there? What are the things that you are thinking about? How are you even going to tackle that project, knowing that there are so many ways to do that? And
Mhm.
it's so business dependent. It's consumer dependent too, because the things that matter are so different on a per person basis.
Exactly. Few different things there. We did the relaunch of the Vita Coffee Club just about a year ago. So we're working on now adding a few extra benefits and just making things a little bit more exciting for our subscription customers. I think offering a lot of different options is one of the things that we've already done well. We have tons of different coffees that we offer. We do all sorts of different grind sizes. You can get a 12-ounce versus a 5-pound bag. Frequency options are limitless. So, keeping those in place and making things just really easy and seamless for them, we're going to continue to do. But I think going back to that kind of club feeling where just making them feel that they are part of Vita as well and giving them little extra things here and there, um, and just getting them excited about the product and the brand itself and keeping them engaged with us and feeling like we're paying attention to them and what
Mhm.
they want and need.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. It's interesting because I think it's like the little things, right? I still think of it as subscription companies that give you a birthday card, right? Like a
Yes.
birthday gift, like just something for
Mhm.
you. Um, have you thought about potentially bridging online and offline, knowing that you have retail locations and uh, doing benefits across your retail locations for being a membership?
Yeah, that's definitely something we've talked about. We have, gift card programs
Mm,
online, and we have a gift card program for retail cafes. Same with loyalty. We have an
mhm.
online loyalty program and a separate one for in cafes. So that's something we've talked a lot about merging those so that
Yeah.
people can use them across the
Yeah.
board.
From our end on the acquisition side, it's really interesting because I was talking about the balance between acquisition and retention and how like one feels easier and one feels harder, but potentially big impact.
Mhm.
And I think the thing that I left out on that is when you do retention really well, it also impacts the acquisition side. So when you have a really good membership program or a reason to believe, uh, when you can promote that on your acquisition, it makes acquisition easier too.
Mhm.
So, like a really great membership program has such a huge opportunity on both ends of the spectrum and making people really feel uh, a part of the community, a part of the family.
Absolutely. Yeah. And from there, word of mouth is such a huge thing. So you get people
Mm.
that are really excited about it and they tell their friends and family and they become part of it as well. And then you're not even spending any money to,
Oh,
to
yeah.
acquire those people. It's just because you're pleasing your existing customer.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the things that's going to become more and more important as I think uh, my theory is a lot of brands forgot about what it meant to be a really good brand when performance marketing took over, and everyone was
Yes.
like, all right, short-term revenue is great, this is going to go on forever, and
Mhm.
brand equity was kind of left by the wayside, and we're starting to see that switch back over, and uh, the value of word of mouth, the value of um, this feeling of feeling connected to a brand is coming back in full force, and I'm really excited about that because I think it changes the conversation and it helps you really hone in on who your customer is and why you exist as a brand. And I
Mhm.
think exactly what you said, when people start talking about your brand and wanting to share it with one another, that's how you know that you're doing something right.
Yeah, absolutely. Every industry pretty much, but especially coffee, there are so many options and there are so many
Yeah.
good options. So how do we convince people that we're their number one choice, we're their go-to?
Well, and it's a natural uh, connector of people, right? Like, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Where are you going to choose is the place where you want, and you introduce someone new to a brand. So
Mhm.
I think it is, there are some industries that have a really hard time with word of mouth, and coffee should not be one of them for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. So outside of subscription and kind of what's going on that end, in the as you look at ecom as a whole, you're looking at your channel, you're looking at the growth ahead of you. What's the thing that you're most excited about? What is the thing that, you're like, oh man, this is going to be awesome for us?
Yeah, kind of looking at e-commerce and marketing as a whole,
Yeah.
I'm really excited for next year, 2025. It's going to be our 30th anniversary, so
Yeah.
we've got some really exciting things that we're working on. Most of which I can't share yet,
Of course.
but we are planning on revamping our website, which I'm really excited about. It's going to help. Um, in so many ways. It's going to be easier for the customer. It's going to be easier for our wholesale partners, all of those things. But it's going to be also very focused on making the e-commerce and purchase journey easier for our customers. So I'm really excited about that.
I love that. I love that. That's really exciting because I don't think most people are thinking about 2025 yet. And I love that you guys are, because I think
Yeah.
that that's awesome, and gives you just an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? We know that this year we're going to focus on righting the ship and continuing forward, and then
Mhm.
going into the following year with a lot of growth opportunity and plans there for sure. I
Exactly.
feel like people forget how long it takes to get foundational elements into, like, because
Mhm.
digital is so nimble, everyone thinks it can be done tomorrow, but it can be done
Yes.
tomorrow without thinking. It can be done in a few months with thinking, and
Mhm.
much rather with thinking for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a good kind of time for us to do this because we can celebrate the longevity of our brand. We're still an independent and locally owned company after 30 years. That's a huge accomplishment. But we can also make things easier for our customers and, increase our online revenue all at the same time.
That's super cool. Uh, awesome. All right. So I have one final question for you. Um, as you are in your role, you've definitely learned a lot. As you look, if you were to talk to somebody that's in a new marketing director role or head of marketing role, what advice would you give them for their first 90 days?
Yeah, I would say for first 90 days, and just in general, remember to focus on numbers and data. A lot of people think of marketing as creative and you get to work on the visuals, and that's all true and it's super fun. But if you really want to make an impact for your company or your client, you need to focus on data points, reporting, how those little changes that you make to your marketing affect you positively or negatively. And just if you're going into a new job, first 90 days, get all of the data and reporting from the previous few years, and see where you can tweak things.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that is so accurate. Um, creative for creative sake is never good enough. It needs to
Yeah.
actually like do something. And
Yes.
while you can't measure it all the way through, it still need to measure some of it and feel confident in its ability to be successful. So yeah, I think that's awesome. Thank you for that. Uh, Shelley, thank you so much for joining us today. If someone wants to find you online, where can they learn more about you, check you out?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. Uh, my name is Shelley Griffin, ShelleyGriffin. And then if you want to check out Caffe Vita, you can find us on Instagram at Caffe Vita with two F's, or caffevita.com.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll include all of those in the show notes. Shelley, thank you so much for coming on and having this conversation with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. If you liked it, remember to subscribe so you'll be notified of new episodes. And if you know someone who would enjoy this show, don't forget to share and leave a review. It all helps us impact more brands. If you're looking to improve your paid media, go to weareqry.com and schedule a consultation. We're always happy to chat. See you for the next one.